All right, man, peace. As many of you brothers out there who may be cultured understand, or who study, world cultures or social affairs, things of that sort, there's a societal practice or cultural practice that occurs in many Middle Eastern countries, particularly aimed towards females who the men of that particular society deem to be dishonorable or disloyal to their husbands or to their fiancés or whoever they're espoused to. Often, what will happen is they will throw battery acid into the face of that woman to disfigure her and scar her for life and stop her from seeking future relationships with other men. We see these cases happen here in America or in Western society to a lower degree, where many times a man might try to harm, hurt, or even kill a female who no longer wants to be with him. Many times females might do the same thing. At the very least, if you've been with a chick who's a bit off kilter and who has very little to lose or is a quote-unquote ratchet or hood rat per se, she might try to throw rocks through your window, key your car, deflate your tires, things of that sort. Sometimes even have a simp come to try to physically attack you or harm you. Well, in the entertainment industry and the sports sphere is no different. All of these entertainers and quote-unquote celebrities have a file that is compiled about them, almost from the time that they were in junior high school, especially if they're a sports star, of things that they like to do, their quote-unquote proclivities per se. And a file is formed. People, period. When you're special, people want to find out things about you just because they're idle-minded and they're mischievous. But once again, in the case of sports stars, they're considered to be assets to their teams. So NFL teams go to great lengths to try to figure out what the habits are of their top assets, aka the best players on their squad, whether they be stars or superstars, because those things will be considered in negotiations, in trades, etc. So to make a long story short, there is very little that an NFL team does not know about any of their players, especially their better players. They've known for a long time that Deshaun Watson likes to get around. And he's done a very proficient job thus far in trying to cultivate an image for himself. Number one is being very active in his community, but in the last year or so, he's been far more outspoken with the wokeness. He was one of those guys who was talking about how we might have to take inventory of players who are against the Black Lives Matter movement, things of that sort. And the thing with wokeities is that they do tend to have a very high hypocrisy factor with them. Very, very oftentimes, most wokeities, aka pro-blackities, aka black Marxists, are big hypocrites. Now, in the case of Deshaun Watson, I'm not going to get on the brother. He loves the coochie. I mean, it is what it is. He's a young man, but he was very sloppy. Very sloppy. But it's also very clear to me that the Houston Texans' attitude is, we're going to trade you, but we're going to throw a little bit of battery acid in your face on the way out to let people know some of the things that we've known about you for a while now, because it's no longer in our best interest to help you cultivate your image. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
According to a report out of Houston, there are still several teams interested in trading for Deshaun Watson, despite the recent lawsuits against the Texans QB.
Of course, there are teams that are interested in trading for Deshaun Watson, and the Houston Texans are now interested in trading him. Before they were not. Now they've accepted the fact that the divorce is going to occur, but once again, they're saying, on your way out, we're going to throw a little dirt in your face. We're going to shank your tires. We're going to key your car. We're going to let people know some of the things that we've known about you for a long time. And some of these chicks, we're going to grease their palms. We're going to call them up and say, look, all we need you to do, we know that you have sex with Deshaun. We know that you are an influencer on IG. We know that you're a so-called masseuse. All we need you to do is say such and such. And you're going to find $600K in this bank account. We don't want you to access it until maybe a year or so from now, but this is what we need you to say. And of course, these chicks are going to say, oh, no problem. No problem. I mean, shit, it's difficult enough for these females to be loyal even when they know the guy and have known him for a long period of time and claim to quote unquote love him. Much less when they were just a schmang out. They got off on the thrill of sleeping with Deshaun Watson or working with him in the first place. But then on top of that, I get the bonus of maybe a 6-figure check under the table just to throw a little dirt on this guy who basically bust a nut on their forehead and sent them on their way. Where do I sign up? That's what most of these broads are probably saying.
Is also conducting its own investigation into allegations, which will also factor into teams' interest. Watson has continually denied any wrongdoing against these claims, guys. So, Shannon, are you surprised teams are still interested in Deshaun?
Of course not. Why would anybody be surprised? When it comes to talent level, he's probably top 3, top 4 in the NFL. And there's a chance that they can get him for cheap. These teams know that everything is about public relations. They can build back up Deshaun Watson's name. All they needed are a couple of press conferences. Maybe he can shed a couple of tears, make an appearance there with his little fake Instagram so-called fiance, whatever her name is, Jilly Anais, whatever term or name this broad goes by, who I believe, by the way, is also one of the main reasons why he demanded the trade in the first place many times. But these guys, when they start just out of the blue saying wild shit or crazy shit, normally there's a woman involved in it in some way, shape, or form, especially if they're married and the woman is a celebrity, quote unquote, or has aspirations to be a celebrity. That's why Deshaun was demanding to get traded to the Jets. Like, how is it that you're trying to win, but you demand to be traded to the Jets?
Not because he's an elite quarterback, and these kind of talents don't become available very often. And even for the sake of argument, if I sit here and say, well, you know what, Deshaun Watson is going to get suspended for 6-10 games. So, team says, I'm going to have him for 5 years under contract.
Yep.
So I'll bite that bullet. Skip, we said, Greg Hardy had a market. When the Chargers, we knew the Chargers, we had heard the tape and everything. Leonard Little got a DUI, killed a woman, and played in this league.
Yeah.
So why are we surprised? Now, for me, Skip, the way I look at it, the little bit that I know Deshaun Watson, I'm willing to afford him the benefit.
Every time Shannon talks about Deshaun Watson, he knows him less and less. When he was trying to be the plug to deliver the information to the public about Deshaun Watson's trade demands, he's like, oh yeah, I was on the phone with Deshaun Watson the last couple of days. Good young brother. I was at the house, slept over. Mother cooked me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We all went to the movies. We then had a picnic with Bron and them. Now a week later, oh, I barely know the nigga.
That's the Deshaun that I know. The Deshaun that I don't know is going to see if he erodes that trust that I placed in him.
That's a good point.
It's as simple as that, Skip.
Yep.
I'm gonna let this thing run its course. These women, 10, 11, 12, how many? It doesn't look good. I'm not gonna sit here and say, man, it's hard to turn away when you hear 12 women and they give you a...
Brothers, I cannot state this enough. Nothing will tear down a great man more than weakness to women, and I want to specify that statement. Because some people might hear women. No, it's not the woman that destroys the man. It's the man's weakness to the woman. His lack of understanding pertaining to the machinations of the woman, the intentions of the woman. The scriptures tell us in the book of Ecclesiasticus, I believe it's the 42nd chapter, that in the same way that moths hover around garments, how they're drawn to garments, wickedness emanates from the woman. It's just in her nature, and it's not misogynistic, it's not chauvinistic. The woman is always going to bring a very high mischief factor. And if you're not aware of those things, if you allow yourself to become addicted to the energy and the presence of the woman and what the woman can bring you in regards to sexual gratification or sexual satisfaction, it is going to be a major distraction to your goals. And eventually it's going to come out, because the vast majority of these females, they get a thrill from tearing down, especially an affluent man who they know that they can't have in a serious way. So Deshaun Watson has placed himself in a very, very bad situation.
A story to tell, but I'm going to let it run its course. Deshaun will have his day. The women should have their day, and then I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. And then it's like, dang, another situation, Skip, where we put our trust in someone, and everything that's presented in front of the eye is not always what it seems.
Well, that's why you're not supposed to put your trust in a man. The Bible tells you that curses the man who put up his trust in man. I believe that's Jeremiah 17 and 5. You're not supposed to put your trust in a human being. Why would you do that? Because he can throw a football well? Trust is like anything else. It's built up over time. Equity is built up over time, the same as trust. And, like anything else, it can be built up. It can also erode. Sometimes it can be built back up. When it comes to a person, we're all people. We're all prone to weakness. We're all prone to vulnerability. So you take people as they come and don't have high expectations for them. Don't have higher expectations for someone else than you have for yourself.
I agree.
So I'm gonna give it that. But Skip, I'm not surprised because you realize who that is. And granted, that might be a side of him that we never knew.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't change the fact that he's a top 5 talent.
No.
And a team is willing to have his services for 5 more years, even if it means he's going to be suspended at some point this year or next.
Got it. So, reportedly, these teams are still interested. Eagles, Panthers, Jets, Dolphins, 49ers, Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the best time to be super interested in a player of his caliber. Because when it comes to stock, you always want to buy low. And his stock is dropping to a certain degree. At least the perception of his character is dropping to a certain degree.
Would Deshaun Watson change those teams' lives if they could sign up?
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm going to say it one more time.
Hell yes.
Never in the history of the National Football League has a quarterback this young and this proven at this level in this league been potentially available. We're still not sure if he, but by all reports, including John McClain, who's the ultimate source in Houston.
We come to Houston. Yep.
Oh, Bruce Willis is down in Houston? That's the only John McClain I know. But, yeah, I mean, other than Brett Favre, I can't think of a quarterback with that level of greatness who was traded. And, of course, when Brett Favre was traded from the Falcons, nobody even knew who the hell he was.
Expect him to be traded. So I'm going to say he's on the market.
Yes.
Now what's happening to the market? Do some of these teams feel like he's being discounted, like they're going to have to take a little less for him
Maybe
because he's a little
3 first rounders,
damaged?
2 first rounders now.
Maybe, okay, maybe that's happening. But the point is, if the Eagles could sign Deshaun, what would you say? If they signed him there, let's use the hypothetical. And again, he may have to serve the
6 games. The man, which is 6,
Yeah.
it could be, mitigating circumstances is at the commissioner's discretion.
Okay, so a year from now, would Shannon Sharp maybe pick the Eagles to win the NFC East? Yeah. Highly possible. That's how good he is. Panthers, yes. Jets, he's just going to change lives.
Yes.
Okay, I got all that. Now, back to the off the field. This has been so hard on my psyche. I don't enjoy talking about it, but I have to face the reality of it. So, I'm looking at this Houston attorney, Tony Busby. He's filed an additional 5 lawsuits. That brings the total cases to 12. And he says there are more than 10 additional women who have come forward.
Right, but they've come forward to say what? Am I supposed to believe that Deshaun Watson has sexually assaulted 22 different women? Or are these females who are engaging in a coordinated money grab, who don't care about how it's going to affect how Deshaun Watson is viewed publicly? Please understand, brothers, the average person does not really care about you. People spend a great deal of time trying to act as if they're more aware of or concerned with the masses of the population at large than they actually are. That's why I call my channel a pro-truth channel geared towards the so-called black man. Anything other than the truth is meant to perpetuate delusion. We have to face reality so that we can conquer our issues. When it comes to Deshaun Watson, I'm sure that he felt like when he slept with all those women, it was something that was gratifying his ego. It was also something that was making that female feel better about herself. And when she left his apartment or his hotel room or his house or what have you, I'm sure that he thought that she was happy. The woman in general is very rarely ever happy. Her default state is not happiness. Her default state is inquisitiveness and curiosity and trying to figure out how she can bring anarchy and chaos into her life or someone else's.
Losing track of how many there are.
Right.
So I have to face the reality of that situation. I also have to say, I have no idea what went on between Deshaun and any of those women. I have no idea.
Right.
I have an idea. A lot of nuts got busted. Those women are upset right now. They're upset not even necessarily with Deshaun Watson. They're upset that they're not with who they thought they would be with at a particular moment in their life. So it makes it very easy for them to be a part of a money grab or an attention grab.
Did he cross the line? I don't know. Apparently, a whole bunch of women are lining up to say, yes, he did.
Right.
Okay, so I'm forced, as much as I have loved Deshaun, as much as I never heard one hint of any misbehaving from him, not a hint of baggage that he had all the way back to his days at Clemson. Now I have to reassess, as you just said.
I don't have to reassess anything. It's very obvious to me that these women are confederate with the Houston Texans. Am I saying that Deshaun Watson and all of his actions have always been 100% above board? No, I'm not going to say that. I think that he's made some bad decisions, as we all have, as we've all made bad decisions in our life, especially pertaining to women. You have to be very careful with the woman, but these are things that you learn over a process of time. So he's going to have to learn this the hard way, especially being a celebrity like he is.
And I must say, on one level, and one level for sure, I have lost some respect for Deshaun Watson. And that level is simply this. Let's do, just for the hypothetical, let's say that he did not cross the line. That is
Right.
proven he didn't cross the line with any of those women.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the line he did cross. This is dangerous, risky, erratic, irresponsible behavior for...
Agreed. But that's part of youth. You do a lot of risky, irrational, dangerous things, especially associated with the woman in your youth. Things that you look back on and you say, damn, what the fuck was I thinking about? Oh, I know, busting a nut.
franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? So you are risking contacting women you don't know at all as massage therapists, and there are many of them, and most of them except one, I believe, they're all one-offs. They're all just one-shot deals where he's just saying,
right.
I want to go in and it's clear.
Go in. More ways than one. He trying to go in.
Did not want an athletic massage.
Right.
It's clear what the intent was, to see how far
Right.
it might go.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of the thrill of that? Is that intriguing? Is that attractive to him? I suppose.
Deshaun is a freak. Just say it, Skip. Say what you want to say. Are you a freak? I'm a freak. It's okay. Me and Ernestine, we get freaky. We just get freaky with each other. Because I can't have a bitch messing up my status.
Oh, but that kind of behavior to me, for a franchise quarterback that I'm paying almost $40 million to, it's scary to the point of creepy. It's this.
I've said this numerous times. I have no idea why these entertainers, why they just don't use escorts. Like, just go get you a so-called high-class escort. Like, what's with all this stuff with these regular women and these IG females and these nut jobs out here? Why do that for? If you're someone who likes to get a fresh nut busted every night, you got the money, go get you some escorts, man.
We didn't know.
Right.
And again, just on the face value of it, what are you doing? Obviously, Deshaun Watson, again, out of the pandemic, could go in any club in Houston and say, right. you, or you, right? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And just like that, too.
That's what he was interested in.
Right.
They would go,
right.
They'd leave with Deshaun, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he wanted to just pay for sex, he could do that. No problem. He's a single man, as far as I know, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Skip Bayless co-signing what I just said. You see, Skip, no. I say, back when I was writing in Dallas, I used to pay for hoes all the time. What's the problem? Bust a nut, write an article.
Okay, fine. As long as it's not illegal where you're doing it. But now we get to this. Well, this is just so dangerous. You've talked and talked. You're asking for huge trouble if you go into a session with a massage therapist in which you are going to disrobe and then see exactly how far you can go. Well, is that not as dangerous as you did?
He might be a thrill seeker. Who the hell knows? He might be one of those adrenaline junkies. When you look at how he plays, that certainly will play into the thought that he might be an adrenaline junkie. He likes to hold the ball too long. He likes to do all these reverse pirouettes and spin moves and constantly scrambling in the pocket when he should have been through the damn football.
Trouble if that's the case, Skip. I think his situation is Deshaun is a single man. I think he's single. I mean, he might be dating. I don't get.
He's with some IG broad named Jillian Naas or something. At least he used to be. I don't know if he's still with her right now. Might be the best thing to happen to him if he gets dumped by that broad, because clearly she's looking for status.
his background that extensive, and he's making a lot of money. And Skip, I'm telling you, after being a professional athlete for 14 years, sometimes you think you're invincible, and you don't think anything like that will happen to you.
Yeah, Skip. Sometimes you think you're invincible. I mean, I can tell you some stories when I first got to Denver. I mean, not to go there, but I was known for going to the club butt ass naked with just tube socks on, and say, "Hey, if you want to ride a road Bronco, get with Shay Sharp."
And you think it's harmless, and he's like maybe calling these women, and like you said, I from what I'm reading, some of them were one-offs, and something happened, and he never called them again. They're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's."
He said, whoa, wait a minute. You're not just going to bust all this custard on my forehead and just not call me back now.
The original deal we had. Skip, I don't know.
He said this ain't the original deal we had.
And that's the thing. It just goes to show you, how well do we really know people that we watch?
Agreed.
You don't know them at all. That's the point of not deifying them or lionizing them. Hello? You're not supposed to put people on a pedestal, period. Your hero is supposed to be your dad and your mom. And of course, in the spirit, it's the Most High. That's it. Everybody else is just a talented performer on TV. This hero worship that you guys promote on your TV show is counterproductive to developing a rational, stable mind. That's why I repetitively and incessantly go in on the concept of being a fan or a fanboy. And those of you brothers who follow my channel, whether it be here or on YouTube, you see, even I have demented fanboys who try to go above and beyond to get attention or to express their, to be honest with you, their latent homosexual energy. Because that's really all a fan is towards another man. Is someone who is trying to subvert their pseudo homosexual urge. Like, well, how could you be that infatuated with another man that you're gonna create a whole channel or try to abduct the energy or the vibration from that man, unless you're like another untalented Mr. Ripley.
When you think you know somebody, like, damn. For me and for Skip, and I just look at I look at man, woman, or child. I just look at them for what they are. Deshaun's a hell of an athlete. He's a hell of a football player. Basketball player, they hell of a basketball player. Baseball player, all that other stuff, Skip, I don't get into it because I'm not trying to
bullshit. You spend all your time trying to pump up LeBron James. You do act like you know LeBron James as a person. And a lot of that is because of the fact that most of these woke Negroes, they're atheists. And as I always state, everybody has a God. People who say that they don't believe in God, they're fucking liars. Everybody has a God. You just might not believe in the God of the Bible. But if you don't believe in the God of the Bible, you have some other God. Your God might be your job. Your God might be your job. Your God might be your woman. Your God might be money. But your God might be some entertainer. But you have a God. You have something that you look to for inspiration and that you place high expectations towards. And when that person or that thing doesn't live up to your vain expectations, you turn on that thing or person. And that's why idolatry is so unhealthy.
So I don't know. But this is what I do know.
What I do know is that Deshaun's a freak, just like me.
I guarantee you, moving forward, Deshaun Watson will be a lot more careful.
Yep.
He will not put himself in risk, in harm's way, as he has in this situation. And I just hope everything resolves itself out, works itself out in the best.
Yeah, I mean, that's very trusting. You contacting all these IG bras and just trying to fuck off some massage. Like, come on, bro. Shit, you can have an escort come dressed up as a masseuse and play the whole thing out. That's what you're gonna do. You trying to be freaky with it. Like, come on, man.
From all parties. But this is not a good look. It's hard to look away just on the sheer volume of women. Maybe it's a situation
It's a coordinated cash grab. It's a coordinated attempt to destroy his image on the way out, Shannon Sharp. That's why I made the analogy that I made at the start of this video. It's very obvious, but he put himself in this position because of his recklessness, and it's just a learning experience for Mr. Deshaun Watson. It's a part of life.
To meet women, and that's how he did it. I don't know. But they're going to find out, and the NFL, they're going to talk to these women and says, okay, what happened? And they're going to have to okay, this was consensual, or Did he do something that was inappropriate? Was it forced?
And that's a nightmare. Basically, you have to put your hopes in a woman to tell the truth. The woman disassociates from fact. She disassociates from truth. And that's just in her regular life. How many times have you heard a woman tell her version of a story that you were not even a participant in? You just happen to be a third-hand witness of, and you're like, nothing like what she's talking about transpired in that way or in that manner at all. What is this crazy broad talking about? But you just keep it to yourself because it doesn't concern you. Like, that's a fearful thing, to have your life fall into the hands of a woman's testimony.
Oh, this uncomfortable. What made you uncomfortable? I don't know if that's a crime or anything.
Really, anyone's testimony, but especially the woman, because at least a man, if a man gonna get on the witness stand and lie, normally it's purposeful. A woman could be lying and think she's telling the truth.
Making you uncomfortable, unrobing, but Deshaun just you just got to be more careful. You have to understand, you're Deshaun Watson. Not the Deshaun Watson that went to Gainesville. That guy no longer exists. Mm-hmm. The guy from Gainesville, Georgia, you're not him anymore.
Yeah. Well said. And yet, all these interested teams still have to pause and say...
Let me also say, I think that's very traumatizing for a lot of young athletes who gain stardom or superstardom at a young age. It's very difficult for them to face the fact that they're never going to meet a female that actually cares about them. And they're just not. Most people in this society today, in Western society, don't care about anyone but themselves. But if you happen to be a celebrity, you're never going to meet a woman who just cares about you for you. It's just not going to happen. And I've stated this in numerous previous videos. Floyd Mayweather struggled with this dynamic for years. And that's why he kept getting caught up in these domestic violence situations, until he let the ego go and he let go of the false notions of what a relationship is supposed to be. He stopped listening to his feminine side and he started listening to the masculine side, which is pure rationale, logic, and reason. He started to assess the woman better. And since he started to do that, he avoided a lot of his issues with the woman. Deshaun Watson is going to have to do the same thing. He's going to have to face the facts that, no, 99 times out of 100, you're not going to find a female who even knows how to love, much less loves you. So you're going to have to approach any relationship with caution.
We need to make sure what's happening here. And they have to ask themselves the question, as great as he could be for us, is this the man we want representing our franchise? Is it possible?
They're not going to have to ask that question, Skip Bayless. I promise you that. It's going to take 2 seconds for them to say, we're going to bring in Deshaun. The talent level's too high.
This behavior will repeat itself.
They had a man like that representing the whole country of America.
Well,
enough already, Shannon Sharp, please. I'm just tired of these toxic liberal niggas always trying to call down Trump whenever they don't have anything else to say. Leave it alone. He's out of the White House. You can't blame him anymore. Talk about how Joe Biden has every illegal immigrant coming through the fucking southern border of America. All right, just knock it off.
You could argue. Yeah.
65 people say, hey, we want him. Yeah. 74 million say we wanted him again.
All right.
So they good. People, Skip, look, like I said, you made the case that, look, all these teams that are still interested, they understand what getting a talent like this will do for their franchise.
They would.
And people have short memories, especially when it comes to sport. Oh, he'll help us win. All right, I'm kidding about that.
Especially if he has a nice little press conference, sheds a couple of tears, talks about what he's done for various communities, and promises to not get caught up in bullshit again. People will move on quickly, especially if most of these so-called allegations or lawsuits come to naught, which I suspect they will. It seems like a bunch of angry, single, young black females on IG who thought that Deshaun Watson was gonna wipe them up, and it didn't happen. So now they want to, take out their little pound of flesh with the assistance and the coordination of the Houston Texans.
It's just like
as long as he does.
Right, yeah. And I believe he will. I believe Deshaun Watson this is not a Keanu O'Neal situation, Skip. He's going to change somebody's life.
Yeah.
That position right there, that level of talent. But like I said, I want everybody to have their say. And when it's all said and done, wherever the chips may fall, we got to live with it. So I don't, well, they just took up for him because he's a professional athlete or he got real. Look, I just hate the brother put himself in a situation like this.
Agreed.
I really like him. I love his story. I heard his story about him and his mom.
Yeah.
And he's just been great in the community. And I just hate that this is where we are.
This is good for him, though. You know, life sharpens you. You got to go through tough shit in life so that you know what not to do. You have people who, fortunately, if you're lucky and blessed, will teach you what to do. And then you get into situations that will teach you what not to do. You have to turn every stumbling block into a stepping stone. And based on, you know, the framework of your mind, you could take foul things that people try to do to you when they're trying to get over on you or when they think that they're shitting on you. And if you're smart enough and you're goal-oriented enough, you can take the negative shit that people try to do to you and turn it into a blessing.
That's good.
So his agent tweeted and seemed to suggest in the tweet that these stories were in large part fabricated. And his point was that if so, he wants the fabricators, what's the best word?
Punished.
As they should be. Any woman who makes a false allegation, especially pertaining to something like sexual assault, they should be jailed or in prison per se, and they should receive the same sentence that the person who they accused would have received had they been found guilty.
With the same energy, he said, as a sexual assault offender is punished.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It doesn't go like that, Skip.
Yeah.
Because
Unfortunately.
I always want the way I was told when the situation happened to me in 2010, Skip.
Yeah, Skip. You know, when I was happened to be in the pool, and you know, woman walked by and thought that she saw me in the pool with an anaconda. I said, no, that's me. And she got the nerve to say that I sexually harassed her. All I did was tell the bitch the truth.
That they always want the victim to come forward. And they felt that if they ever did that, they would deter victim from coming forward. I was like, well, hell, I'm a victim. Where do I go to get my name back when she made up all this?
Yeah. Well, I was going to conclude. The agent was he was walking on some thin ice there.
I believe everybody should just shut up until we have our day in court. And Skip, I'm coming in there with my folder. You come in there with your folder. Okay, we go before 12 men, 12 women. And then, you want a bench trial? However you want to do it. You come in there with your notes. I come in there with mine. I come in there with my witnesses. You come in there with yours. And we settle it like that. Because I understand what Busby's trying to do. He's trying to rile up public opinion.
And that's all. And he understands that's all he needs to do because that's what he's been tasked to do by the Houston Texans. He already knows, look, man, if we can get as many females as possible, because once again, the Houston Texans have been tracking Deshaun. They know about most of these broads that he's been with. So they contact them most likely in the DMs or some shit, or, you know, get their phone number and maybe, you know, send them a text on a secure line and say, look, you want to make some money? Just talk about what Deshaun may have done. Get involved in this lawsuit. We'll send you a few dollars. We'll send you a little change, you know, in the 6-figure range. And you know how these broads are. These broads, I mean, shit. They'll suck a rod for a damn Happy Meal. So you know they ready to say any damn thing. So, you know, that's just how it's going down. It's a shakedown. But Deshaun has to take it for what it is. And it will most likely, hopefully for him, confirm that he's making the right decision in demanding a trade. Because that's how you have to do it as a man. You have to turn every negative into a positive if you can.
Public opinion is not going to sway once you get inside that courtroom. So I understand what he's trying to do, Skip. I've seen attorneys like this all the time. They like to try a case in public.
Yep.
The real good ones, they try cases in the courtroom.
And the great ones, they try the case in both the public and in the courtroom.
Well, he is...
Because at the end of the day, whether people want to understand it, acknowledge it, believe it or not, those juror members, they do get influenced by what they see on television prior to getting chosen for the trial, particularly if it's a high-profile case.
Deshaun represented by one of the best, if not the best, in Rusty Hardin.
Yeah.
And Rusty said the other day, just give us some time and we will move forward and we will let you know. We will have a response. I think he said sometime this week.
Yes.
So we await.
Everybody's waiting for that press conference. Because it's coming. And he's like, hey, we're going to answer all these questions. And he's going to say, I believe that when all the evidence is heard, my client, Mr. Watson, will be exonerated.
Well, public opinion is a scary thing to think about. That's a good point. We're going to wait and hear Deshaun's side of this story as well, because there's really nothing else to say until we have the full details and a full investigation. We're going to move on.
But anyway, that's basically it on that, brothers. We'll see what happens with Mr. Deshaun Watson. So peace.